Welcome to California in Focus. I'm Dave Mason, the Southwest editor with the Center Square. I'm here with Kenneth Trump, the reporter covering California. Well, Kenneth, I know there was a popular treehouse that is being torn down in Los Angeles. And what stands out about this treehouse?
Well, first of all, it's gone. Second of all, it is a beloved community attraction. The so-called Boney Island Treehouse has been in the front of Simpson producer Rick Polozzi's home for over 2 decades. We had about 7,000 people sign a petition to try to stop this treehouse from being demolished, but the city went ahead and took it down. There was tens of thousands of dollars spent by the owner to try to stop this teardown. I'm sure the city spent even more than that in illegal battles to tear it down. This is what has a lot of residents upset. They're wondering, why is the city spending valuable resources trying to tear down a treehouse that has existed for decades when people are struggling to rebuild and get their permits approved for the Palisades fire? This doesn't make sense to a lot of people. And it especially doesn't make sense given that the city just announced that it is facing a nearly $1 billion deficit this year. $1 billion that it needs to cut.
What does the city say? I mean, why would they spend all this money to tear down a treehouse?
Because it's not compliant with code. As a dwelling unit, but it's not somewhere that someone lives. It is a treehouse, not even in a backyard. It's in a front yard. Like, it's very obvious that it's more for decoration than anything else. And it is used, or how it was used, as a very popular Halloween destination. The owner would turn his whole house into a massive Halloween sort of neighborhood venue, and everyone in the community, even people from other parts of the city, would come to have fun in sort of this public spectacle that he would put on in his front yard.
I understand that people are upset about this because this is coming at a time where Los Angeles County is trying to recover from wildfires, and they're afraid about the use of the city's resources on something like this. What have you heard about that?
Right. What I've seen is people who are trying to rebuild are thinking, well, this does not seem fair. This is all under the city of Los Angeles' jurisdiction, right? The Palisades is part of the city of Los Angeles. We're at Studio City, where this was, it's all part of Los Angeles. The local city council member also supported the treehouse staying. So again, I don't know why the city has decided that it really needs to take down this treehouse when there's so much that people are struggling to build that should be the focus. There's a man named Alexis Rivas who runs a ADU construction company. They make ADUs that go up very rapidly. He has this 800 square foot ADU that's pre-approved by the city. So when you use a pre-approved design, you're able to just pretty much just file for a simple permit just to get it built, because the city has already reviewed and approved that specific design from the specific vendor, in this case, him. So this one Palisades project that he's been working on, the city has lost his application, so he had to refile after waiting weeks to try to get the response. And then later, just a few days ago, the city said, well, the mayor's order is not consistent with the governor's order on streamlining rebuilding permits. So we're going to have to wait until the city updates its order to be legally consistent with what already exists at the state level. That updated order went through a few days ago, but the city still has not approved this man's application, even though he has contacted them saying, hey, this update was made. So you can imagine that people are very upset if they're focused on tearing down a family treehouse when they could actually be approving family housing that just needs to be rebuilt after the Palisades fire.
Do you think the city council might take a look at the regulations and see if there's a way of making this in what the residents might feel would be a more reasonable manner?
I don't really know what you mean by that, because I think what residents generally want is that people want their communities to say how they were during the fire. That means not upzoning. That means letting people build, up to like 110% of what they had before. You can build it back a little bit better, a little bit nicer, a little bigger. That's kind of what has been approved by the mayor's executive order. That's sort of the path of least resistance for a city council, especially in the areas impacted by the fires. And if you look at the order, there has been a lot of streamlining for all of those projects that meet those specific regulations. Something that we've covered here at the Center Square that made national news, my story on the Palisades rebuilding, possibly requiring low-income housing, every single unit that was built before October 1979 to be low-income housing. Well, the state went ahead and fixed that. There's no longer that low-income housing requirement for the Palisades fire rebuild. And the city's new order just went ahead and nixed that as well. So our story was actually able to eliminate one of the restrictions that would have made it really hard for people to rebuild. Because, imagine that you lived in one of these apartment buildings, you're paying normal market rent, fire takes away everything, building is rebuilt as it was, but you're not allowed to live there because you're not low income. That wasn't fair, but that's something that was updated in the order, thankfully. Again, this probably is the last of it. I don't expect many more changes to happen. Also, remember, there's the $1 billion shortfall that we have, right? We're going to have to fire thousands of people. That's what the city is saying. Thousands will have to be fired. If we fire more permit staff, there's going to be worse delays. Things will take even longer. So we're in for a bumpy ride.
Well, we will all hang on tight as we go down the road with that. Thank you, Kenneth. And that's it for us at California in Focus. Please go to thecentersquare.com to see our stories covering California and the rest of the country. Thank you.